Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from in the world. My name is FifiRich. I'm a makeup artist and inspirator. I am with a special guest, and that is my mother, Alice Moutswi, on today's segment of Mary Who Is Ready. Today, we're going to be talking about splitting children and properties. In the last segment, which was yesterday, we talked about when your partner says they are now getting a divorce. What do you do? How do you deal with that? You know, what first happens in the mind of a person that is just been summoned with divorced papers. And we're still with Mary Who Is Ready, and we're going to be doing a lot of that this season, and we're going to put every other program that I do on hold just because my mother is here, and I feel like, well, she's here, we should maximize on Mary Who's Ready, because it's very, very important that we talk about the things that we talk about in these days and times that we are in. Mama is a principal education officer. She's also based in Botswana, but we don't stay together, and she is experienced in the area of marriage and divorce dynamics, and there's a lot of experiential knowledge because she herself has come from a background of divorce, so she knows what she's doing, and I'm so honored to have her here. You're welcome, Mama. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, viewers from wherever you are. I'm glad to be the co-host of my daughter, FifiRich.
Yes. And you're so supportive. Thank you so much for the support that you lend me in this work. It means that you believe in what I'm doing. I proposed this to you and you bought into it and you're like, yes. So thank you so much. I believe we're going somewhere by the grace of God, and this thing will touch somebody's life, because a lot of people, they follow us but they are silent. We also have people that are able to come on and say, this thing has impacted me in such a way, in such a way. This thing speaks to different people in different ways. So I'm just so happy to have you here. I can't do it alone. I need people like yourself, Mama, when it comes to issues like Mary Who's Ready. So Mary Who's Ready, we deal with all things premarital readiness. We deal with relationship dynamics. We deal with marriage issues, and it's a talk show type of program where we also have conversations with married people. We have interviews with different stakeholders such as social workers, marriage counselors, psychologists, and so on and so forth. So please feel free. We always have something for you. Thank you so much. If you're new to my channel, kindly subscribe and hit the bell button to know when I upload new videos. Now a person has just found out that their supposed spouse is no longer interested in the marriage, and they have dealt with being issued with the certificate of divorce, I think, or been summoned with the divorce papers. And now an individual, be it a man or a woman, has now been going through therapy, the whole thing, the whole aftermath of self-care after divorce. Now there comes one very important part, which is they have to think about the children, they have to think about the property that they have accumulated together during the time they were married. So how do they first of all go about this? How do you determine where the children get to go?
Thank you, FifiRich.
Okay.
And I like it when you say this discussion is intended to impact someone's life. And I would like to say to you viewers that I'm here as a divorcee, having gone through all the challenges of divorce and being an overcomer. Mm-hmm. I'm here not as lamenting somebody, but as a happy somebody who is more than willing
to help
others
going through the same
going through the pain.
Wow.
Not to mean that it's a good thing. I wish to make it clear that I really in my lifetime I would never ever advise anyone to opt for divorce, to take that decision. Actually, I've been counseling a lot of young people, even some people older than myself, even my age mates. I've advised a lot of people never to go into that decision making.
Yeah, they are trying to help people to avoid it by all means.
By all possible
because
means.
You know what it means for
yes, I know the pain. I know
and for a child,
the challenges. Wow. So I wish people would always think about. We should always think about solutions,
exactly,
rather than rushing for divorce.
Exactly.
So
determining
where children should go. That's a legal aspect of divorce. There are some laws concerning what should happen during the divorce process.
What do you know?
So usually when people get divorced, they engage lawyers to help them interpret laws attached to divorce. Laws like what happens to the property, what happens to the children. Concerning the children, their spouses engage the lawyers to help them determine who gets the custody of the children.
What are some of the factors you know to be considered when it comes to who should get the child or the children?
The factors that determine who gets the children. The first one is the age of the children. If the children are underage, it is usually considered that they can make
Independent decisions. Because they're still dependent.
Yes, because they're dependent. But for the mature children, they have a choice. So the ruling would be that custody is given to the mother. Naturally. For toddlers, for underage children, but depending on the state of the mind or the state of
they look at
the mental state,
capacity, maybe economic capacity, and are they responsible?
Yes, are they responsible? Are they of sound character?
They don't have criminal records?
Yes, not necessarily that, but are they in a position to take good care of the children? If the mother is not fit to take care of the children, for whatever legal reasons, the custody can be given to the father.
The father, wow.
Yes, it just depends on what is on table at the time of divorce.
I know it's a bit of a sensitive thing because sometimes it's like some rulings may favor one over the other over unfair considerations. Maybe the children may be taken away from the mother because maybe she's not working, she cannot sustain the children financially, economically she's not stable. Whereas it puts the children in jeopardy still because they can go and get exposed to a stepmother that doesn't love them, doesn't care about them, abuses them, ill-treats them.
But at the end of the day, the parents, it's not like the law is imposed on them. They are given the opportunity to sit together and decide on who gets the custody. If the father feels that the mother is irresponsible, is an alcoholic, is a drug addict, then the father has the right to inform the court through the lawyer with all these characteristics.
This person is not fit.
This person is not fit to be given the custody of the children. But in the case where the mother is fine, nothing can stop her from taking care of children, there shouldn't be any problem. Even if the mother is not working, even if the mother is economically struggling, that should not be the reason for the mother to not be given the custody. Because if the father is working, the mother is working, the law determines that both parents should take the responsibility over the children.
So it means that it can be voluntary, like one parent can decide, let me take the children, or the other can say, let me take the children, since you're saying they are given the opportunity to negotiate it.
Yes, they can. And the custody does not necessarily mean that children do no longer have any, the other spouse does not have any right over the children. It means provision of shelter. One spouse stays with the children, and it doesn't mean that these children cannot at some point go and stay with the other spouse. So it just means let them be there, maybe for schooling purposes, good environment or whatever. Then at a certain point, if the other spouse would like to spend time with the children, that spouse has the right to do so.
Nice.
Unfortunately, at the preliminary stage of divorce, tensions are usually very high.
Yeah.
Usually people would be very angry at each other, would be bitter. So you find that at that stage, someone might not want anything to do with the other. And it is the children who suffer. Imagine the mother being so frustrated, or the father being so frustrated that he doesn't want to do anything with the mother. So if the mother gets the custody and these people are at loggerheads, there is a high possibility that the one with children might not want anything to do with the father. Or the father might not even want to do anything to do with the mother. And if the mother has the children and the father doesn't want anything to do with the mother, he's likely to dump the children.
Wow.
Just to get to the mother. And it is the children who suffer at the end of the day.
Wow.
And there are some cases in which some fathers, sorry to say some fathers because it is usually mothers who are giving the custody. Some fathers would just decide to neglect the children, not to maintain children. For whatever reasons, they just decided no maintenance. Even if the court has ruled that they would have to maintain children. And when they decide not to do it, it's the mother who would be struggling with the children, fending for children with a little, whatever little she gets, she would be there supporting children. And when the mother confronts the father about maintenance, the father gets angry and may even go around creating stories that the mother is denying her access to the children.
Yeah, like somebody. I was given an example earlier.
They would deny, they would create stories that I'm denied access to the children when the mother is actually pressurizing him to support the children, to maintain children. And because he wants to appear clean, smart before people, he creates stories.
Yeah.
And there are also cases in which it's real. One of the spouses can deny the other children access to children out of anger and bitterness.
Wow.
There are some people who would do that.
Yeah.
They would say, I don't want to any nearby my children.
Yeah, just stay away.
Just stay away because we don't want anything to do with you. Out of anger. There are such cases.
Out of anger.
Out of anger. And at the end of the day, children are the ones who suffer. They want both parents.
That's true.
Children don't know anything. They have nothing to do with the divorce. They are not the ones divorcing. So why should they be denied access to either parent? So that is the challenge.
That's so true, Mama. But at least I'm happy that it can be voluntary for the child where they go once they are no longer considered a minor. Once they're of age, they can decide whether they want to go to the father or to the mother. But if the child is young, it means that they have to wait until they can make an independent decision. So oftentimes in that waiting, there can be a lot of calamities that the child is exposed to. They can be, they can find themselves in hostile environments, unwelcoming, unloving situations, abuse. Maybe they're made to work, manual labor compared to the other kids of the stepmother. So it's often very painful, Mama, to see that children sometimes grow up because, they grow up in environments that are unbecoming, unrewarding, just because the other parent is not in a position to take care, and yet maybe the other parent is more loving than the other parent. Maybe they don't have resources like money, but yet it may be a very loving, emotionally stable, conducive environment for the child. So it's so sad, but I'll just speak on behalf of the children to say this is another element to really consider. If you're gonna get into marriage, please do your due diligence. Try to marry somebody who is really ready to get married, because if you divorce and there are children involved, and for whatever reason as a mother you cannot have custody, then the children have to go and stay with the father who's going to bring a new woman into the lives of these children. It can be another problem, another wound for them to deal with. Remember, children will already be having the wound of their parents' divorce to deal with. Oftentimes, children don't even know how to deal with that, Mama. That's why I think also children deserve counseling. They deserve to be put in therapy. They deserve prayer. You have to stand with them to try and make sure that, you reorganize them, because divorce is so disorganizing to a child. And did you know that a child can actually blame themselves? They can feel like maybe they have a hand in the divorce of their parents. Oftentimes, children, around 6 years plus, they feel like maybe if it wasn't for them, their parents would never have divorced. So they carry guilt and self-blame usually, and they don't really have a place where they can express that. So it's a problem. And then there's also the issue of having to have a stepmother or a stepfather and feeling like this stepfather is replacing my mother. Yeah, in the life of my father, this stepfather is taking the position of my mother or my father. You are a stepmother, you just got married by my dad, but this is where my mother should be. And there can be a resentment that is formed towards the stepmother, and the child grows up with all these things going on in their soul, in their spirit, in their heart, and oftentimes there's no answers, but they grew up with so many questions, so it's just one of those things. I think for me, I've been blessed because through my parents' divorce, I was so curious. I grew up so curious. I wanted to know why. I really wanted to know why my parents got to divorce when my friends' parents never got to divorce. How come so and so's mom and dad are together? My mom and dad are not together. My friends' parents are together. When I visit my friends, it's mom and dad. For me, it's only mom. So it was a thing when I was growing up. You can imagine. So I always had questions, and it pushed me to trying to get knowledge from a very young age. That's what pushed me into this curiosity about marriage. What is marriage about? What goes into it? What can I do not to find myself having the situation that my parents had? Because it just about kills you as a child, except you're alive, but you're really dead, and you have to really go through stuff to revive. You see, it can even crush you to the point where even relating with the opposite sex is a problem. Like when somebody says they like you don't even understand what they're talking about. So it's those are some of the dynamics. Maybe we'll talk about them on an individual basis one of these days. But
that's the more reason I said divorce must be the very last option.
Yeah, unless it's
no one should
threatening
ever entertain divorce as the best solution to the marital issues. Yes, that's why I emphasize that, and I would like to emphasize that, guys. If you are having a marital crisis or challenges,
it's not the last answer. Unless it's life-threatening.
Divorce is not a solution.
Yeah,
it's not, and it will never be a solution.
And God hates divorce. I came to see for myself why God hates divorce.
The Bible says, those of you who read the Bible, the Bible says God hates divorce. And I would testify that I've never condoned divorce in my life. Even when it was tough, when I could see that this man is no longer interested in this marriage, I said to myself, but I'm not going to divorce him. If there's anything, he's the one who will divorce. I'm not going to do it, because I've never perceived divorce as a solution.
Option.
Yes, as an option, as a solution. So when it comes to children's plight or children's welfare, divorce is such a nightmare to them.
Yeah.
It is the children who suffer more than the divorcing spouses.
Exactly.
It's the children who suffer the blow.
Yeah.
And
I suffered the blow.
It is the children who suffer the blow.
That's true.
And a lot of parents never consider that. When I tend to believe that to take a decision of divorce is the most selfish, self-centered decision one can ever make.
They're not thinking about it.
They're not thinking about other people involved in that marriage. Marriage is not only about me or the two of us only. Marriage involves a lot of people around us. There are parents involved, there are children involved, there are relatives involved, there are friends. And people never think about those. Yes, they just think about themselves. And even over very, what we call minute,
petty things,
small things. People get divorced over small things, which can be solved.
Over a conversation.
Yes, just over communication. People just decide to walk out of marriage.
Yeah.
Sometimes they divorce because they were learning to cheat, and this cheating thing got into their heads, and just one step, they make up their minds, they divorce, and they don't even think about what will happen to children, what will happen to what we do with property and so forth.
Mama, that's true. But do you also think, I just thought of something when you were
Excuse me.
Yeah, I just thought of something while you were talking. Do you think that the person that files for a divorce ever gets to feel bad, like they hurt somebody that they loved, or somebody that loved them, and that they hurt their children, is there a time when somebody feels bad, like, oh my God, this is dawning on me what I have done? Or is it
maybe at a later stage?
Later stage.
Yes, where they thought they were going to have more joy turns out to be more disastrous than they ever imagined. That's when it dawns on them that, oh, I blundered. So usually when they do it with some form of excitement, pride, arrogance, because they are bouncing into some arms. People don't usually divorce when they are not going anywhere. A lot of divorces take place because they are looking forward to more joy. They are looking forward to more excitement. The excitement that has long started inside marriage. They try to find more excitement only to destroy their own marriages. And after destroying their marriages, they do not care. With that excitement, they do not care about the other person's emotions. That's why I'm saying it's the most selfish decision. Because they're just looking at their own joy, their own peace, their own comfort. So they dump a partner because they are going into
instant gratification.
Yes, they are going to another relationship. They are advancing another relationship. They have long started inside a marriage.
Wow.
So that is why they don't care. They murder their conscience. So such people, they don't have any conscience to talk about.
Wow.
So even if they had, even if they destroy their children's self-worth or the spouse's self-worth, they just don't care about it. They just don't care. They just go up until, because where I get it, there's this English saying that all that glitters is not gold. So when they discover that
this is not gold after all,
that's not gold, that's when they
remember where they're coming from.
They remember where they're coming from. But it would be too late to retrace their steps. It would be too late. Because a lot of times you hear that the marriage is dissolved. The following year, one of them gets married. Where has that started? Why so fast? So they always go where they have been. They have long started. So they don't care about emotion. They don't care about children. They are just in their own world.
But Mama, while you're talking about that, there's an element that just dropped in my mind. Apparently, when you marry too fast or move on too fast, you yourself may not have healed properly yet. The fact that you're just coming out of another marriage, even relationships, it applies to relationships. You have not yet healed properly. So now when you go into another marriage, immediately after another marriage, I recently just learned that it could just be another problem waiting to manifest, because when did you heal that so fast? You're coming from a life with this person, from all that time, all those years spent with this person, and in 6 months, 1 year, you're getting married. If I was the wife to such a man, I'd be so worried. I'd be worried, like, when did you heal? You're just marrying me so fast, but when did you deal with this thing? Are you sure you're okay? And then eventually another divorce might potentially come out of this new marriage, just because now other issues from the last marriage they start manifesting in the current marriage, and it now leads to.
But unfortunately for the so-called marriage wreckers, it's not the case.
Because the marriage wrecker also wants something.
They want marriage.
They also want something. And they have a motive. And
they could have even facilitated the divorce indirectly. So they are the winners. They are the winners at the end of the day. So they don't care.
They don't care.
But now with the issue of children, that is where a lot of damage is done.
Damage that can last a lifetime. If cared not.
And that can cause low self-esteem, that can cause low self-confidence, that can cause lack of emotional intelligence, quite a lot of things.
Oh,
It can even render the children averaged or below average when it comes to school academic performance.
Yeah.
So this
because I still remember when I was going to school, my grades used to fluctuate a lot. One minute I was passing like so well, the next time I'd be so low. Like mentally, it really affects a child. Psychologically, the child just becomes unstable. It throws them off balance totally.
Yes. So that is the cruelty of divorce, because children are not considered. Children are not, somebody doesn't worry about the children. Someone doesn't even care about the children's welfare. They don't care what they eat, what they wear, how they go to school. They just don't care, because all they care about is the new relationship.
Yeah. What about
even if that other woman comes with a gang of children? Some men would rather take care of the whole troop. Sorry for
the troop of children,
yes,
and ignore their own.
Yes, they ignore their own. They would take care of the woman's, the new lover's children, and they would neglect their own children.
Yeah.
They would not care whether they eat, whether they drink, whatever happens to them. They just, even if the ex-wife or the ex-husband calls about children, it's like they're being insulted. They feel like they're being insulted.
Yeah.
Some can even, you call them, they would give the headset to the partner to be the one responding, and you never wanted to talk to that person.
To the father of the child.
Yes, just for them to be rude at you.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, so these are things that happen.
I think that's why one of the reasons why God hates divorce, because it brings about so much, unwanted traits, character traits. It really brings about a lot of arrogance, pride, anger, bitterness, envy, competition, things of I want to prove a point, I'll get back, revenge. So God, I believe it's one of the reasons why God hates divorce. It brings out the worst in people, so it's one of those things.
And it produces angry children.
Produces angry children.
Bitter children.
Yeah.
These children, sometimes they develop certain characters they were never before. Yes.
Yeah.
Some become violent, some become rebellious, some become stubborn.
Some develop mental disorders.
Yes, mental disorder. So for the retardation, some become slow in their education. We start calling them slow learners and what.
Meanwhile, there's problems.
Yes, because they are going through issues. That is why at school,
had a mental disorder?
That is why at school we would have some kids being labeled indisciplined, labeled wayward children, and then teachers would be angry with them, beat them, not really getting to the bottom of their problems. Why are they behaving the way they behave? Yeah, so that is the situation.
Have I had mental disorders when I was growing up? Or symptoms of some?
My key concern was I don't know, you were only four and a half, between 4 5 years. And then you were at a kindergarten, at a preschool, creche.
At Guzigenda?
Yes, you were at creche. And so I got a report. It really frustrated me. I got a report that you were bullying other children.
I was a bully?
Yes, you were beating other children.
A creche?
Yes.
I don't remember.
One day you got sick.
Guys, I'm so sorry.
And the teacher reported to me that, today your child was not well. And the whole lot of these children were so vaccinated. They were playing with her, doing all sorts of things.
Because the bully was down.
They realized that you
the
were
giant has fallen.
They realized that we are harmless.
Wow.
So they were around you playing, trying all sorts of things.
Because I was very aggressive.
Because you are aggressive, you were a bit violent.
But I was a girl.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So when a child goes through, the children are sensitive. They see. They see things we don't realize.
Yeah.
So they could. A child can ask you, where is my dad? Where is my mom? And you don't seem to take it seriously.
Yeah,
but that's a $1 million question.
Wow.
Never to be taken for granted. So the moment the child asks that question, you know that something is going down deep in the child's little mind.
Yeah.
So the reaction would tell you that this person fills the gap in his or her life. So this child will go out, will be bully, will be violent, will do a lot of things. So that is that. So that's how children need to be attended to.
Wow.
Children need to be given that love.
So for me, So for me, I think if I was violent, that was in the early stages before actual primary. And then at primary school, I started developing a sense of guilt. Maybe my parents divorced because of me. Maybe if not for me, they wouldn't have divorced. Maybe I had a role to play in the separation of my parents. And I carried that through.
That wasn't at the primary, I doubt.
Okay.
Because at primary you were surrounded by lots of kids.
But I had that.
And you were I don't know. I brought some 2 kids into the house, and you felt like there was the family grew.
Yeah, but I still carried that inside myself. Yeah, so I mean, this is just to say that this is another dynamic to a child's response to parents' divorce. And then it only took God. One time I was just in the house in 2018, I think. And then I just had a voice saying it was not your fault. And that's what it took. I mean, when the Holy Spirit just says one statement, sometimes it lifts off the whole burden. One time, and there was just a sense of great relief.
Amen.
And a peace, and I started breathing another type of air, like whew.
Yeah, maybe that's something I never.
It is.
I never noticed.
Yeah, apparently psychologically it exists. Children when they're younger, they tend to have guilt, like maybe. And I remember also, like, we're talking about the academics of a child. Like, I could perform so well sometimes. Then sometimes my grades could drop. So it was just like, this is. And when I thought about it later in my grown life, I realized, no, it means there was something wrong. Because I mean, it's not like I was dull. I could perform so well, top 10 English from 2. I mean, but then and it was just the grace of God. Even studying was a problem, reading was a problem, but the grace of God kept me in.
There's a saying that goes, when the elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. So the same thing with marriage, with the
divorce.
With the divorce. So children tend to suffer. The mother or the father who is maybe a disadvantaged is the one who would suffer more. Disadvantaged in terms of economy. So if you get the custody and the other parent doesn't care, so you carry the whole burden. And you can imagine carrying the burden when you probably got out of that marriage with absolutely nothing. Nothing. So and then you are also exposed to that lonely life where no one cares about what you are going through. Raising the children single-handedly when the other parent is alive. And
single-handedly is another new dynamic of complication for that single parent.
Yes.
Because now you're outside of the order of God. And I like to say, anytime we're outside the order of God, things are bound to get complicated one way or another. It doesn't matter a woman is so rich in terms of money. The fact that you are raising a child alone, it's a burden, because a father has a role to play, a mother has a role to play. So it's very arrogant to think that you can leave the father and you take care, or that you can send the mother away as a father and you take good care of the children, because they need both parents at the end of the day.
Or you just decide not to care for the children. You are there, you know the court has ruled that you take care of the children, and you decide that you are going to fix another spouse. In most cases, it's about I don't want him to benefit from my money, or I don't want her to benefit. When you are punishing the children. You are punishing the children, and it's painful when this is done by people who are supposed to be earning better than the other spouse. So that is how children suffer. And then
so usually when the parent has to pay maintenance, but the parent that has to pay maintenance, usually they feel like they are doing a favor to the other parent who has won the custody of the child. So that's why they are reluctant to pay maintenance sometimes, because they're like, I am going to be rewarding you. They're not thinking of it in terms of it's the benefit of the child. Then the child suffers. Even
if you tell them, okay, go and pay the transport, school transport directly at school, they won't do that. You tell them, take your child to the shops, they don't. They just don't want anything.
And it takes time.
Yes.
It's like they have to be followed to maintain that.
It's like they don't want to have anything to do with that parent.
Even the sight of the parent makes them sick.
It makes them sick, because in most cases they would have found what they call better love. So with the better love, the old one gets out of fashion. The old love is not worth even good morning, good day. How are the children doing? Just that question. Until after, I don't know what happens to them. After a long while, when they realize that, there is no diamond here. What I thought is a gold. It's not.
It's not.
So that's when they slowly or gradually try to retract their steps back to where they left their children.
Wow.
After a long time. After a lot of damage has been done. That's when they try to get back. So that's about splitting children. But in very few cases, you find that parents who would have agreed to divorce, and they've agreed on the custody of children, they agree on the maintenance plan, they agree on a lot of things. We have had our differences. We can't get along together, but let children not suffer. So that those parents would be in one accord in taking care of children. There are those parents who would support their children. Children would visit the father one day. They may even spend 2 weeks there. After that, they go back home to their mother, and nothing is wrong with that. And maybe on a Christmas day, they spend the Christmas with their father. They spend the New Year's Day with their mother, and so forth. Life moves on. Children are happy. Both parents, they can talk about the welfare of children, and there's no problem. But those are very, very few cases where there is this communication.
Yes.
Effective communication.
So that's true, Mama. Yeah. You guys can hear for yourselves. Mary who's ready. If you like this content in this video, please give it a like, okay, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Mama, what about the properties at last? Like, that's the same procedure that applies to determining where children go after divorce apply to properties? Is it like also a legal type of procedure?
Yeah, it's another legal aspect of divorce. So usually when people get divorced, they engage the lawyers for all kinds of legal aspects pertaining to divorce. With the division of property, the lawyers who have been engaged would consult their clients. Firstly, they would ask you, what property have you acquired in marriage? So you declare the property. The other spouse would also have the same consultation with his or her lawyer. They declare the assets in marriage. And then if you were married in community of property, your lawyers will come together, discuss what you have and how your property should be divided among the two of you.
Is it advisable to do in community of property?
Under normal circumstances, it's advisable.
Okay.
Because people get into marriage not for property, but for love.
Yeah.
So if you are married because of love, why would you marry out of community? Unless there are some valid reasons behind, but not in you don't marry out of community out of fear of divorce, but you marry in community because you don't marry to get divorced or to divorce. So the property will be, if the intention of marriage was in good faith, the property would be shared equally and fairly. But if there were other issues or hidden agendas behind marriage, then the spouses are bound to fight over property until someone gives up and the selfish one gets everything.
Wow.
So that is how it is.
I think for now...
But you are given an opportunity to discuss, as the spouses involved,
how
you are given the opportunity to discuss how you would like to split your property.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there would be someone very selfish, very greedy, very there would be someone who would think that I have spent more. Disregarding that, you have also contributed, no matter how little, you have contributed and your time has been wasted. Above all, your time would have been wasted. And you have children to take care of. So someone who just feel, the one who got into marriage with some uncertainties, with a plan for divorce, would in most cases feel like I have to get what I have spent on, forgetting that no one was just there watching. Everybody was contributing. Even if you were paying for electricity, for water bill, you were paying the water bill, all the bills in the house, you have contributed.
Exactly.
You are not supposed to get out of marriage with nothing. Unless you got married to a very greedy somebody.
Wow.
Who would think that you were married as a stepping ladder for him or her to advance her selfish ambitions, yes, or her greed. So there some people who do that. Some people do that, but in a very few cases, there are some cases in which a man would just be so considerate, or a woman would be so considerate and would say, look here, we have 2 houses, or we have a house, let's sell it, let's share the proceedings, or we had cattle posts, let's sell the cattle and each one gets a fair share of the proceedings. So there are people who would be just so fair, so honest, so reliable, so considerate about the children. Very few cases. There are very, very few cases of that kind, that nature, where the two will agree on fair division of properties, considering that they've wasted each other's time in marriage that never worked. So they will just share their things fairly. Very, very few cases. But in a lot of cases, a case can drag for years just because of the division of properties. Someone wanting to get everything, and the other one giving up because that one is not a fighter. So that is the case.
Wow,
but at the end of the day, it is the children, still children, who suffer.
The more.
A lot of children have been denied homes because either a man or a husband got away with the home, got away with the house, and the other spouse has nowhere to take children, and that one doesn't care. So children suffer. They have nowhere to call home because the other spouse got away with their home, and children suffer. The other spouse got away with the vehicle. Maybe the couple had only one vehicle, the other one got away with it. The one without children gets away with the vehicle. And you can imagine how life would be. And he doesn't care. I've seen a case in which the mother of a an infant was deprived of a vehicle. The man is the one who paid for the car. So when marriage, even before the marriage was dissolved, the man took the car away, and the mother had to take a child to the clinic on foot because the man took away the car, and that's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. It is the child who suffers, children who suffer at the end of the day.
Inconsiderate.
Yes. So that's that about division of properties. Thank you very much, FifiRich.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you, viewers.
Yeah. I also wanted to just say, do you think that this thing of what goes around comes around, or karma, or you reap what you sow? When somebody has divorced somebody with so much hostility, so much aggression, in a very inhuman, I know divorce is never nice, but do you think that when you are so nasty with the divorce, it somehow follows you later in life? You have a price to pay. So that people are a bit more careful about how they navigate that divorce, even if they want a divorce.
Depending on the type of a character you are. If you are doing your best to be good. One author wrote something, think good, see good, and do good.
Think good, see good,
and do good. If you live by those three phrases, I unquote, think good, see good, and do good. If you live according to those three phrases, and you find yourself still unable to satisfy your marriage partner, it is God who will vindicate you.
Kana, you didn't answer the question, wait.
Did I miss the question?
You did.
I said that vindication, to vindicate means He will fight.
God will fight. I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm saying when a person has been very hostile and avoided trying to be as amicable as possible about the divorce, do you think that somewhere in life they're going to reap what they sow? Does this thing come back for them?
That's where I was getting to.
Okay, why are you taking long?
No, it's sorry, I was addressing it from a Christian point of view. We talk about God vindicating His children. It's true that at some point, all the aggression, all the pride, all the arrogance, they catch up with the culprit. Because you don't just frustrate the person for over nothing. When the person, at times, there are spouses who have been frustrated when they were in their best element, when they were very good, when they were doing good things, and you would even hear the spouse confessing that, this woman is so good to me, but the things I do to her, there are men who have spoken like that. The things I do to her, but she is so good, she's so humble, she can't harm an insect, but the things that I do to her
I don't know what God
are unbecoming. Or you hear a man saying that about, a woman saying that about a man. I'm married to a very sweet man, kind, but I myself, I am such a horrible woman. I don't know what he found in me. So Yes, so that is that. But whoever is at fault, one day shall be one day. It will catch up with him or her. There will be time for regret.
All right, there we have it, you guys. Mom, I think for today we can wrap it up. That is it with Mary Who Is Ready. We are dealing with divorce dynamics, and under divorce dynamics, we're talking about splitting children and properties. So I hope this segment has been useful to you. Please give it a like. Remember to subscribe and turn the bell button on if you're on YouTube so that you know when I upload new videos. I hope this was impactful to you, and if it was, please just let me know how and to what degree. Okay, thank you so much. Feel free to share. Also, you know somebody who's going through a divorce, contemplating a divorce, and you just want to get them warned so that they make decisions knowing exactly what they're about to get into. Okay, because like we're saying, we're trying to advocate that it's possible to have a marriage that will last you a lifetime. It's possible to marry the right way. It's possible to have a great marriage in a godly setting. So let us just remember that divorce is not quite an option, okay? Especially if you still have the opportunity to mend things. Sometimes all we need to do is swallow our pride and just say, I'm sorry. Sometimes we just need to take stock of ourselves and say, but where could I be missing it? Or can I just show my partner where they are missing it or what's not working? Sometimes that's all it takes. And unfortunately, we are in a time and a generation where when things are broken, we throw them away. But people should not be thrown away. They are not trash. Throw garbage into the bin, not a human being, okay? Thank you so much for being here. And just remember, guys, you like that? Yeah. Throw garbage into the bin, not a human being. No human being is trash, you guys. So with that being said, I thank you so much for being here. My name is FifiRich. I'm a makeup artist and content creator once again. So guys, that's the FifiRich Bold Black makeup brush set. You guys can check it out on my YouTube channel. I create a lot of tutorials with it, and if you like, you can get with me for a consultation if you want to just upgrade your makeup skill or just learn your makeup from a beginner stage. Okay, and if you like, you can get with me for personal branding related things, to know how I take care of my skin and to access my makeup tutorials, my easy beginner friendly makeup tutorials. Please just check me out on YouTube and search some of the videos according to your problem areas. Okay, thank you so much. I love you guys. Let us know how this program has been impacting your life, how it's helpful to you, and we love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.
Bye viewers.
Bye guys.
Thanks for your viewership.